Hi guys, I'm the EncounterSmith, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to run a super spooky social encounter using a Ouija board or spirit board for your D&D game that actually is going to be more effective if ran online through Roll20 rather than an in-person game. Now, before we get started, there's a link down in the description that'll allow you to download all of the assets I've created and used for this encounter completely for free. With that, you'll be able to follow along as I step by step show you how to set this up in Roll20 as a free user. Then we'll quickly talk about some hooks to help you set up this encounter in your D&D game narratively. Now, once we've downloaded those assets from the link below, we'll dive into Roll20. So I've logged into my free Roll20 account. So first we're gonna go up to the top right of our Roll20 page and hit the Art Library tab. Then we'll go to upload and this box will show up in the middle of our screen. Now, if you've downloaded all the images, you should immediately see 2 folders and then 6 images, 4 Ouija boards and 2 different planchettes. Go ahead and highlight all of those images, all 6 of them, and drag and drop them to copy them into this upload box so they'll be in Roll20. Now, the idea is that the spirit board and planchette slowly come to life with sacrifices. The way we're gonna do that is we're gonna turn them into 2 rollable tokens. I'll show you exactly how to do that. So we're gonna go back up to the top right toolbar and we're gonna go over to collection. Under collection, at the bottom, you'll see rollable tables. Hit the plus add button right next to that. And you'll see we'll have a new table. Double click that to open up its menu and we'll rename it. We'll call this first one Spirit Board. And then we're gonna start adding items. So ideally, this other little tab's gonna come back. We're gonna go back up to our art library and we're gonna start adding some of these images into our rollable table. The spirit boards or Ouija boards are labeled 0 through 3. Try to upload them into this rollable token in that order. It's just gonna help you out later. So we'll take Ouija board 0 and save. And then we are going to do this with each one of these Ouija boards. So once we have all 4 of the boards in that one, we're gonna hit save changes. And then before we move on, we're gonna make another rollable token for the planchette. Try to take the clean planchette first, save changes, and then take the bloody planchette. And then we're gonna save changes there. So now you should see that we have both of these rollable tables under our collection tab. Now, before we do anything else, we're gonna make a dedicated page for our spirit board. So we're gonna go up here to this icon, click that, and then hit plus add new page. That'll make a new page for us to start. We'll click on it to go there, but before we do anything else, we're gonna hit this gear icon. Now, we're gonna change the size because the way I made this is a simple 1920 by 1080 pixel density image. So we're going to type in 1920 for the width. And then for the height, we'll type in 1080 just to get that size right. And because we don't need a grid, we're not really messing with tokens and we don't want a lot of snapping going on, we're going to go down to grid and we're just going to turn that off. We don't need the grid. And then hit save changes. So before we get our spirit board onto the page, go to the bottom left and make sure you are on the map layer by either clicking this map token or hitting Control M. And then we'll go back up to our collections tab where we made our rollable token, go to spirit board, and then hit the button that says token. That is going to make a square image of our rollable Ouija board, but it's going to reformat it into a square image because we made it a token. So while we're here, we're just going to take this up to the corner. We're going to place it as best we can. And then we're going to drag this all the way out to the edge. Bloop. And then we'll take this little square and drag it all the way down. Keep just playing with these squares to kind of fill out all of the white space. Also, if you put this on the board before going to the map layer, that's okay. Just if you're on the token layer or something, right click anywhere on the image, and then you can change your layer by going to this tab here. But we are on the map layer. I do want to test out to make sure that all of our rollable images work. So we're going to go to multi-sided after we right click it, and then we're going to go to choose side. And then if you take this little slider here, you can see that it'll show us a brief preview on all of the different images. So we'll hit choose, and then we have a slightly more bloodied board. And then if we do that again, we can kind of move it up in different increments until we have a full on Ouija board. Perfect. Right now we're going to keep it like this because now we're going to do the planchette as a token. So again, before we get the planchette onto the board, we're going to go down to the bottom left to make sure we are on the token layer. Then same with the spirit board, we're going to go over to our planchette rollable token under the collection tab and hit the token button next to it. Now you see it's made a little itty bitty token. So we're just going to drag this up to, let's say, the letter G, and then we're just going to take these boxes and stretch it to the point where it makes sense that if we hovered over the G, we can clearly see that our spirit is trying to tell us the letter G. Try some other letters just to make sure the shape of it is how you like it. And same thing here, we will right click the token and go to multi-sided just to test to make sure the rollable token is working. We'll hit choose side, we'll move it, and now we have a slightly more bloodied heart planchette. So with the acknowledgement that the rollable tokens are working, we're going to reset them to kind of their default state. We'll go to the map layer and reset the board as well to where it's kind of a blank. Now, what is that all about? To set this encounter up narratively, ideally you would have your PCs looking for a very important piece of information, whether that's a location, a name, maybe even a spell, that only one person in the world knows, and that person is deceased. But they don't have a body for your cleric to cast Speak with Dead with. So the only other way to contact that spirit or that person with this information is by connecting to them with this spirit board. Now you can have your players find this spirit board in a bunch of different ways. Maybe they traded with a hag or did a deal with a devil, or maybe they found it in an occult dungeon. Either way, make sure when they receive it, either from an NPC or maybe they identify spell, they are informed on how the board works. Now, the way I would have this board work mechanically is similar to the Speak with Dead spell. Any player who wants to participate in the seance need to sit around the board in a circle, and they each need to give a small blood sacrifice to the board and planchette while speaking the name of the spirit they wish to connect to complete the ritual. As a cool effect that we just made with this rollable token is whenever someone gives their sacrifice to the planchette and spirit board, you can go right click on the spirit board in the map layer, choose a side, and after every one or two makes their sacrifice, depending on how many players you have, you can change the image as the board slowly starts to come to life before their eyes, just using the mechanics here in Roll20. And eventually, the board will completely come to fruition, and you can see all of the letters required to have a proper seance. And when the board is completely finished, the planchette can also be completed. Now, you definitely don't have to do that. If you just want to use the spirit board and the planchette without the rollable token, you can certainly do that. Now, here's a disclaimer. Before asking any of your players to have their PCs make this blood sacrifice, please double check and make sure you or none of your players have any triggers when it comes to blood or self-harm. If that is the case, in the downloadable link, there's also a folder with an alternative variant to the spirit board and planchette that has more of a necrotic green ooze look rather than blood. And mechanically, you can just say the sacrifice is telling the board a secret or giving away a memory. Have fun with it, be creative, please protect your players. Now, what I like to do to make this even more impactful when I'm playing online is that once the board fully connects with the spirit, I'll actually turn off my camera if I'm using webcams. Sometimes I'll even mute my mic, and I'll change the music that we have going on. It all adds this really eerie effect to where your players don't feel like you are there to guide them anymore, and the only guidance they have is the questions they have to the spirit. Now, when your players start asking questions, you simply just take the planchette and spell out the answers. The intensity of all your players concentrating on where the planchette is going and spelling out the answers can get really intense. Now, once you've answered one of your players' questions this way, move on to the next one and continue to do this for maybe 2 or 3 rounds, depending on how many players you have and how hard you want it to be for them to receive this information. If you want this encounter to go from scary to hilarious, an alternative encounter is to somehow have one of the players in your party be trapped in the ethereal realm or a shadow realm. And the only way the rest of your party can communicate with them is this spirit board. All you have to do is have that player mute their microphone, and then here in Roll20 on the token, right click it, go to the settings cog, and then under controlled by, you can put down the player's name who is trapped on the other side. Then when the rest of the party asks questions, that player will be able to move the planchette and spell out their responses. That can make a really cool and hilarious encounter to try to free them from the spirit world. If you wanted to be even a little bit extra, you can put your player's tokens onto the board, and then on your planchette, you can grab this little square here and then have the planchette point at the player who's currently asking a question, or his turn is to ask a question. But that's it for me. If you have any questions on how to run this encounter, or if you have any creative ways to use a Ouija board in encounters, I would love to hear it in the comments below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.